It's fun.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Phoenix, and welcome to the Lair of the Phoenix. For today's show, it's time for a Lair of the Phoenix Origins. I know I haven't done one of these since back when the show was Rise from the Airwaves, but given that we are in the fall TV season and there's some good new shows coming out, there'll be a few of these coming out here and there for some of the shows that we all are watching and want to talk about. The first show, today's topic, is a show that had a lot of hype around it, but that also had some concerns about whether it could be pulled off based on its subject matter. And that is the new hit show Gotham on the Fox network. The show is, of course, about to-be commissioner, currently Officer James Gordon, who has just joined the GCPD.
Detective.
And he's detective. Okay, Detective James Gordon, who has just joined the GCPD, is partnered with Detective Harvey Bullock to try to clean up the city, which at this point, it's pretty well established that the city is not in a good state. Crime bosses like Carmine Falcone own the police force. There's crime everywhere. It's just generally not a good place. And most of the cops are corrupt and just go along with it and do what they can to keep their noses above the air. Whereas Detective James Gordon is not this kind of a man and believes that Gotham can and should be cleaned up, and that the police force shouldn't be under the thumb of mobsters or anything else. The show opens with, of course, being this show about the world of Batman. The show opens with the mugging and murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne.
Yeah.
And
I thought it opened up with if you're gonna really say how it opened up with the thievery of Selena Kyle.
Yeah, it opens up with you see Catwoman, young Catwoman, stealing milk for alley cats and some dude's wallet and almost gets caught. But of course, Catwoman, so she just basically hit girls it up the side of a building.
Yeah, but arguably they're the same thing because that was putting her in position to see said killing, like
Yes.
literally on the run. So it was like on a flyby thing. So technically both sides would be right.
yeah, so Catwoman and the audience witness the murder of the Waynes and the trauma this causes young Bruce at first. We see, after having been introduced to Detective Gordon at the precinct, who stops a criminal from grabbing a policeman's gun and threatening people, the two go out to confront young Bruce and are given that they are the first to arrive, they are given the task of tracking down the murderer to solve the case.
Can we talk about the episode as you're going through the story?
That was just as far as I was going to go.
Okay. Because I would like to point out, because of the way they're developing the characters in this continuity of Batman, I like what they've done with Gordon here, where they basically show the influence that he's going to have on Bruce as he becomes a Batman, where he would rather not kill if he can help it. He's not adverse to killing, as it's revealed later that he's been in like a war. I mean, I guess he was in the army or some shit. But Bullock mentions that Gordon's been in war and this is war, and so he's not adverse to killing. But he'd rather not if he can help it, and he goes out of his way to not kill people, and this is the first instance you see of that, of every cop in the precinct pulls their gun on the guy who basically holds one of the cops hostage with their own gun. And Gordon steps forward, he shoots them all back, and basically walks up and beats the shit out of him.
Yep.
Well, he does the diversion with the pills.
Yeah, he does the diversion, and then once he can get the gun away, then he just beats the shit out of him. And Bullock's like, you should have shot him. Gordon's like, well, I defused the situation. What the hell's your problem?
Yep. And I will say I do find it hilarious that, at least here, Gotham has a sponsor.
Oh?
It's sponsored by X-Men Days of Future Past. Which means at the beginning you get a big X-Men advert, and in between each break, an X-Men advert. That's hilarious.
Before we go in too far into the episode or whatever, can I just say how much bullshit was their the Wayne's death?
Why?
Because I don't know about you, but I saw someone trying to steal shit, and then once he had his shit, he started killing people. What the fuck? If you're a thief, you just get your shit and you go. What the fuck do you want to draw attention for?
Yeah, that's
You've obviously never read or seen the origin of the Batman, have you?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. So I'm just saying that looked really weird. Maybe it's leading up to something else, but like, which I hope it is. But unless this is like some special dude, which it obviously has to be, because he'd be a retarded thief. So that's what it should be leading up to. Otherwise,
Here's a little hint. Here's a little hint, Stacey, and it was mentioned multiple times throughout the episode. They were murdered. It wasn't a robbery.
Yeah, if they even mentioned he was hired by the Falcones to take out the Waynes, it was a professional killing.
Yeah. Well, that was the theory they strongly hinted at anyway. There was no evidence confirming that, but
okay.
Yeah. Well, there was evidence.
I also love the fact that, unlike pretty much every other telling of the origin of the Batman, in this one, they actually hid the shooter's face, so you don't know who it is.
Yep, which is awesome. I will say, like I was just saying then, though, Jim, there was evidence. There was definitely evidence, because the killer took the pearls and then gave it to Fish, who then used it to plant on someone to frame them for the murder.
ah.
That's how she had the pearls, and that's why Penguin essentially tried to rat her out.
Which we'll get to, but yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
but I was
as
just saying there was definitely evidence for it, because they showed evidence.
yes, but as was explained a little later in the episode, in regards to the pearls, when Gordon goes to interrogate Fish Mooney about what's going on with the pearls, he deduces that the pearls that Mooney planted were fakes.
That's what he reckons, but we don't know.
Also, sorry. Continue on this. I was just gonna say something afterwards.
Yeah, I think they were indicating that maybe the pearls were faked, and that maybe Falcone probably did take them out, but maybe they weren't able to get the real pearls or whatever, or the pearls got taken by the mugger and sold or something, and so they planted fake pearls on that guy so that it would look like he did it. But I mean, it could well have been the real pearls. I don't know, but I'm sure if Gordon theorizes they could be fake pearls, he's going to go to evidence and have them examined. So,
and I'm gonna say, based on this episode show as well, it's in continuity with something else, in my opinion.
okay,
Did you see the news on the TV?
I did not.
Meh. And it was Paul from Spin City.
I did see that. Yes.
So they didn't give his name. So in my mind, Paul got promoted to mayor slowly through in the structure of Spin City.
Nice.
It's Paul. It's Mayor Paul.
I do remember seeing that. I was going to mention that to you.
That was a great casting choice, too. And I do have to say, at this point, great casting all around for this episode.
Yep.
I agree.
But continue with the recap.
One thing, since you already mentioned it, I'll say, does anybody at least a little? I'm not gonna say bothered. Well, bothered to me the right word. I mean, it's just slightly annoying. Is the name dropping in this? I mean, I feel like they said certain characters' names a little too often than needed, like Penguin, 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 Ivy, 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 Ivy. Like they said it I don't know, at least 2 or 3 times. For that, we got it, okay? And you don't need to
So I think the Penguin one makes sense, because what they're showing is that it is his nickname and that everyone calls him it and he hates it. If they only said it once during the entire episode with as much as they used him, the audience would be like, well, no one really ever calls him that. Why does he hate it? But the fact that they constantly call him that as a derogatory term is okay, yeah, I could see how and why this guy would hate it, because they call him that all the time.
Yep, I was going to say that. And number 2, Stacey, is Ivy's her name in this continuity. She's Ivy Pepper. They were just using her name.
Oh, I thought her name was something else, and then she became.
It is in the comics. They've changed the name in this continuity because they wanted to establish that they're doing their own thing. And from what they've said, they have plans for her later on. But Ivy's her name, and Penguin was just to try and annoy her.
Okay.
But
so I do have to say,
Queen of Hearts.
Aw, hopefully she'll come back. But I do have to say, with regards to Ivy, I will say I was annoyed with one thing. And I understand they did it to kind of establish who she actually was, but it's come on, you called her Ivy. And that's the fact that when you walk into the house, she's standing behind a fucking veritable garden. I'm like, really? Did you really have to give her a fucking cabbage patch in her house?
I think that's part of her origin because she's going to have a different origin within this universe. Look at what she's gone through. In this episode, her father was murdered, her mother's sick, and apparently she's going to go into an orphanage later on and stuff. She doesn't have friends. She's pretty well adjusted, but the closest thing she has to friends are the plants. It's all going to tie to her origin. She's basically using the plants, sort of like, I don't know if you've seen people do this, but like, for example, when I was younger, if my parents argued, I'd go and watch TV or something like that, like kids do. In her house, with her being poor, she had nothing to do, so she'd go talk to a plant. It's to tie to her origin later on to show why she becomes obsessed with plants. They're like her only love, the only thing in her life that doesn't disappoint her or leave her.
Like me with cats.
Fair enough. Oh no, I just thought that was a little too convenient. I'm like, oh really? You gave her a greenhouse in her apartment, really?
Fair enough.
I didn't even see the greenhouse. I just saw the one plant she was hiding behind.
Yeah, she had like one or two plants, but like I said, I got the sense of it was for story purposes, which kind of makes sense.
Probably. Yeah. Anyway, continue on, Jim, since we kind of mangled the recap here.
No, that's okay. Like I said, I was just going to establish the premise and then just let it go, but
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Which works, because this works, because otherwise we're just telling everyone everything that happens. They don't want to be surprised.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to ruin everything, but yeah, that was like Stacey mentioned.
Spoiler alert, Thanos appears in the credits.
Huh. Anyway. Yeah, like Stacey mentioned, one of the things that I noticed a lot of people who reviewed the episode were criticizing was how they put a lot of Batman's villains in there, which okay, that's fair enough. The villains before they were villains, but they made it so overtly obvious that they were the Batman villains, and a lot of people didn't like that. Like you said, the way they said Penguin's name a lot and whatever they acted. That one might have been acceptable though. The Ivy thing with the plants, the fact that Riddler works at the police station, whatever, and he's constantly asking them questions instead of giving them straight answers.
Oh, I forgot about them.
Yeah, they just made a lot, Catwoman in her black leather climbing up the walls and everything else. They kind of made a lot of the future Bat villains really obvious. And
but to be fair, on the flip side of that, some of those scenes seemed almost directly from like the Year 1 and Year 0 comics.
Fair enough.
Well, that's cool.
And in the comics, when they've established, like when they did like Gotham PD and stuff like that, it's like its own series and other stuff, they have gone into areas similar to this. It's like Penguin should be Penguin at this point-ish, because Penguin doesn't have superpowers or anything, he's just a mob boss, that's kind of what he is. So he's going to rise up slowly. Riddler wasn't really Riddler, because if you noticed, he was willing to let people push him around and not answer his questions. Mm-hmm. And Ivy's just a little girl that's going to grow up to be Ivy. They didn't overdo the villains, which I'm glad at, because I will admit that was my one fear going into this.
Yeah, they were going to be over with the Bat villains.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I can understand the Catwoman one too, kind of, because they're kind of establishing her to be Batman's best friend, so she'll take him on stuff where Alfred and stuff wouldn't, so she'll help him conquer his fear, learn some of the acrobatic stuff and all that, and maybe like Smallville, you might see them go their separate ways, or you'll see them fall in love if they want this to be one of the continuities in which Catwoman's always been has always been good, so that's kind of cool.
Is it like silly of me that I kind of want to see a little child in a snowsuit now and be like Baby Freeze?
Mr. Freeze is coming.
No, but as a child though, like I want to see like a child in like a snowsuit or something, like.
Yeah, or a child called Bane addicted to taking Paz.
There you go. See something,
out of a Venom Paz dispenser. So it's the Venom from Spider-Man. So see, he's addicted to Venom.
Ha! That'd be amazing. It needs to be done now.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were going to say something, Marcus.
He was.
Hang on a second.
Okay, never mind.
I was going to ask you, Mo. It went by pretty quick when Gordon and Bullock were bringing in thugs off the street. But I noticed one of them as it went by was this skinnier, taller guy with like a bunch of tats and stuff. I was like, wait, was that Victor Zsasz?
I think it was meant to be.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I have to re-see it.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Yeah,
I was like, holy shit, Gordon beat the shit out of Victor's ass. What the hell?
I think it was meant to be, but I will say for this series, as I've mentioned to Marcus and stuff a little bit, I'm gonna have to say this is probably the best comic show we've got right now. I was impressed. This was the one I was most skeptical about, and it turned out to be the biggest payoff. Because the world looks great.
Yes.
It looks like Gotham. They got the casting right. And, they're throwing in some sort of seeds, like the villains and stuff for more casual viewers, but they've also got a real story behind that. And at the same time, building those villains, it makes sense. So it's like, this world works, and then because they've changed small stuff here and there, and what the people who make the show said, I could almost see them going any way with this. This won't be the same Batman we know. It's a different universe. And like they said, if they don't want to just retell you the story you know, because if they retell you the story you know what's going to happen. They're reimagining it and doing it in a new way. And I'm like, that's brilliant. It doesn't have the continuity issues of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It doesn't have the acting problems of the cop on Arrow and some of the decisions they've made with Arrow. So, which I like all three, but it's like, this one just seems to hit everything perfectly. I only had 2 complaints with the whole thing, or 3 complaints. And they weren't even major complaints. Like, one of them, like I mentioned, like I've said before now, and I kind of mentioned to Marcus that I had a problem with a little bit, but I got the fuck over it, was Catwoman seeing the Waynes die. I had a little bit of a problem with that. A little bit of a problem with Ivy's name being changed, but at the end of the day, they're just nitpicks.
Yeah.
Because look at like the Nolan-verse movies that everyone gives massive props to, like Batman Begins and fucking The Dark Knight and stuff. They changed stuff from the comics because they had to adapt it in a new way that worked for their universe. These have done the same thing, so I'm like, I can get over them, and I absolutely loved this episode.
Yeah, I will say a lot of my fears actually were assuaged by the pilot. Like, one of my biggest fears with this was that they promised it was going to be more of like a Gotham PD style show. It's going to be a Gordon centric, and my fear was that because it's Batman, it was going to be Bruce centric. And I have to say, the pacing of this episode was pretty much spot on. Because you saw Bruce in the beginning when obviously his parents got murdered. Origin of Batman, there you go. Then you saw him at about the halfway point at the funeral. Then you saw him at the end, and that was pretty much it. And he had like a few lines, but that was about it. Most of the episode was Gordon-centric, and I was like, okay, I can buy this. I like this. I like that it's Gordon-centric.
And you'll see more of Batman or Bruce in other episodes, and Gordon will be put on the back burner. Because like I said, the focus isn't on Gotham PD, and it's not on Bruce. It's on the city, and both of those 2 things are massive forces within this city.
True.
So it's gonna be cool. Like I could totally watch an episode where you see like it being mainly Bruce, and then the next episode it being mainly Gordon. That's cool. There's loads of possibilities with this.
Right. I just hope they keep the pacing right, and I could see a lot of like the Catwoman centric stuff. I could see a lot of that being more Bruce than Gordon, because they're probably going to develop that friendship, that relationship.
Yep.
I'm guessing that's what they're going for. The other fear I had was Jada Pinkett Smith's role, Fish Mooney. I was really deathly afraid, because she's an original character for this show, that she wasn't going to fit in the world of Batman and in the world of Gotham. And she fits perfectly. I was like, wow, okay, they did her well. And like I said, with all the casting and just the caliber of acting they have in this, I'm like, okay, I buy her as, as kind of this right hand of Falcone who wants to take over, who thinks Falcone's past his prime, and he's like, well, I'm going to take over the Falcone crime family. And it's like, okay, I like this. This works.
Yep, which totally works. And
yes, Stacey.
Who plays Gordon?
I don't know his name.
He looks like Brad. He looks like Brad Pitt, but not quite.
No, it's not Brad Pitt.
I know it's not him. That's why I said like it looks like him, but like it's like just a smidgen like off, and then you'd be Brad Pitt.
I do recognize that actor from something. I just can't remember what. It's like, to be fair, the one that plays Bullock, I've seen him in loads of sitcoms.
Donald Logue, yeah.
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 He's awesome. Am I the only one who, when I saw Gordon, thought Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Maybe a little.
I thought he looked a little bit. I was like, wow, that's kind of ironic that you would cast someone who looks kind of like Joseph Gordon-Levitt to play Gordon.
A little bit, he does.
I thought eventually he'll have to have a mustache.
Yep, and if we keep talking, we'll have given Jim enough time to Google it.
Ha!
But
Already there. His name is Benjamin McKenzie. He's known for playing Ryan Atwood in the TV series The O.C. and Ben Sherman in Southland. He's also been in films such as Junebug, 88 Minutes, and a few others.
Basically a bunch of shit I haven't heard of. Cool.
But on a fun twist, you know the animated movie Batman Year One?
Mm-hmm.
He's the voice of Batman.
Hey, nice.
Nice. I could see that with the way he played Gordon. I could totally see him voicing Batman.
Yeah, nice.
Because he kind of played Gordon like Batman.
Yeah, and I mentioned to Marcus, Jim, shows like this tend to go on for multiple years. Like, look at Smallville, it lasted like 10 years.
Yeah.
You can get a good show like this, you can easily go about 8 to 10 years. In 8 years' time, Bruce will be 20. He will be Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping, because this show has more leeway, I'm hoping they take a break after he put him in the Batman suit, take a break, and I'd love to see him do a TV show with the same cast as Batman.
That'd be awesome.
Now, one thing I did want to mention, though, that I know you had a little problem with Mole, and I kind of agreed with you. The character of Alfred, who, you know, okay, fair enough, this is at the point in time of Bruce's death and stuff. Or not Bruce's parents' death and stuff. So he's, you know, they're going to develop Alfred and make their own Alfred for this show. I felt it was a little off with kind of the accent they gave him, but at the same time, I had to laugh because they basically turned him into you, Mole. Because literally, Gordon's like, I will find who killed him. And he just turns around and gives the most Mole response I've ever seen. He's just like, yeah, good luck with that, mate, and walks off.
Yeah, to be fair,
Like, holy shit, they turned him into Mole.
To be fair, there's nothing wrong with Alfred's accent. It does sound like an English accent. It does sound like more of a common accent of someone who would have done Secret Service and like military stuff, which Alfred's meant to have done, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, my problem was I found him a little off-putting in terms of as a character, but like I mentioned to you, I understood it because of the place he was in, so I liked it. I had no problem because I know they're going to expand him later on, and like I mentioned, yeah, he's just become a father. He's going to be off-putting because he doesn't trust anyone with Bruce in case they try and take advantage, especially Gordon. Because Alfred's grown up in the city, he knows how corrupt the police are. So he's like, yeah, don't trust the cops.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's kind of cynical because he's grown up in the city, so he kind of knows that, yeah, they're probably not going to find the person who killed him. In fact, they probably hired the person who killed the Waynes. That's probably what he's thinking. He's cynical enough to do that. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it's because I'm used to Alfred being portrayed by
Michael Caine.
By Brits. Well, no, even Michael Caine is kind of had like an accent like that, but you know, like Brits from different area than that, so I'm not used to Alfred having that kind of an accent, if that makes sense, or at least not used to him being that glib, if that makes sense.
Yeah, which is fair enough, but it's like early Alfred, and like Pew said, it's almost like the Michael Caine one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's almost like a young version of that Michael Caine one, which was perfect.
Yeah, he looks like Michael Caine. I think he's. No offense, Michael Caine. I think he's going to be a better Alfred than Michael Caine because I did not like the Michael Caine Alfred, to be honest. I like parts of it. I like parts of the character, but I just did not like his portrayal of Alfred.
I loved him as Alfred.
I loved his portrayal of Alfred, except for the third film.
Yeah, I had massive issues with that third film, but we're not talking about that.
No, I just meant I liked his portrayal of Alfred, except that one, because in that film they wrote him just to be a plot device.
Yeah. He wasn't even Alfred in that one.
But I like the other one, and I like the fact because I like that Alfred one that's not as because like the other one, like I had massive problems, like say the animated series Alfred, where he's too posh sounding.
Yeah,
and I'm like Alfred was a butler, but with his history and who he's supposed to be and how he's meant to help Bruce, he should sound more common. And I love the Michael Keaton. I love the one from Begins and shit. And I also loved Michael Caine. And I also loved the ones from this one because he sounds like someone who would be a butler, but at the same time would beat the shit out of you if you tried to break into his house, but also
Yeah.
he could be someone Bruce could go for a drink with and bond with. So I like it. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Now, I do have to say the one thing that was off-putting to me about Alfred is the fact that he swore at Bruce. I'm like, really? You're gonna swear at a little kid? He's like, Bruce, get your bloody ass down here. How many times have I told you?
To be fair, parents would swear if their kids were on the edge of a giant building, looking like they were about to jump off and commit suicide. Their emotion, their heads are not going to be straight. They would yell. Like, I'm sorry, if I saw my nephew stand on the edge of a cliff about to jump off, I'm going to tell him, get the fuck away from that.
Yeah, except it was established that Alfred wouldn't be thinking that because it was established that Bruce has done this multiple times to try to get over some fear. So Alfred, from what I understand, the way I read it is Alfred was basically like, dude, I've told you multiple times not to go up on that fucking roof. What are you doing? It's like, if that's the case, if his life actually isn't in danger, or you don't feel his life is in danger, why are you swearing at a little 12-year-old kid? Seriously,
But
dude.
also, Jeff,
Like I said, he may not have been as suicidal, but just being up there, if he takes one misstep, he's dead. Alfred's his father at this point. He's gonna be a little worried.
Also, keep in mind that when you have a loss of anybody at all, the depression rate in that person increases, and their misactions will also increase as well. So the likelihood of a misstep or being depressed or increasing the risk taking will also, you got to watch out for that as a parent.
Yeah, and it's like within the comics and all the other adaptations of Batman when you've seen them, even though Bruce has gone out as Batman every single night, Alfred still worries because he can still die. He's a little kid on the edge of a ledge. He could one step, one accidental slip, and he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is he was being serious and just yelling at him to get the hell down, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I have to watch this episode again.
But I don't know, what does Jim think?
I'm gonna agree with that. I think it was just that whole, parental instinct. What's are you gonna yell because you're suddenly upset and, your mind suddenly just jaws a little bit because, oh my God, my kid's about to jump off a roof. I think it was just, and just that yelling of, I'm gonna get your ass down here, Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the word arse as it's used over there is considered as quite as profane as ass is over here.
No, it means the exact same thing. It pretty much is.
Fair enough.
But why do you need to rewatch it, Pew?
Oh no, I think I want to rewatch it because there's all these other little things that you guys noticed and stuff. So I want to catch it. I didn't see the Zaz tattoo person. I didn't see the whole extra plants or whatever, and I would want to rewatch it just to see all the other little things I could pick up.
I mean, it might have been just one big plant, but just to me it looked like her whole counter was just covered with plants. I was like, really? Was that really necessary?
I thought it was one big plant, and she was just hiding the plants.
I believe that was one big plant that was too big for its pot because it seemed to be hanging out the pot and going all over the counter and everything.
Yeah.
I guess I missed the pot part, but yeah.
But it's
giving her a little potted plant that she was taking care of or something, that's fair enough. I just thought the humongous weed plant growing up, taking over her counter was, I think, a little much.
And I felt it was very natural because, she looks like a child who's not supposed to be in the situation and doesn't know how to, react to it, so she's hiding behind something big, and the big thing here is the plant.
Yeah, and she's also, like I said, she's also using the plants as a surrogate, if you will, for her parents, because, look at her parents. She's sort of in poverty, and she's well adjusted at the moment a bit, but she's not exactly in a stable home, so she needs anything. I could totally see her getting a plant that big so she can use it as a toy as well to, hide under and stuff.
True. Fair enough. But yeah, for the most part, this episode is very well done. I'm probably going to go back and watch the other episodes. There's 3 more episodes up on Fox at the moment. There's a new episode coming out. So
next episode airs here Monday.
Fair enough.
Oh.
In case anyone from the UK is actually listening, but yeah. Although I will say that's something negative, which is just for the UK.
What's that?
It's on Channel 5. which I mentioned this to the others, but Channel 5 over here had The Walking Dead. After a couple of seasons, they just dropped it. They couldn't be asked showing it anymore. So as a result, luckily FX managed to pick up Walking Dead for all the people who want to see Walking Dead. However, they had Once Upon a Time. After 2 seasons, they dropped Once Upon a Time, and because they couldn't, because of the money of how much a show like that costs, they just dropped it. And yeah, it went to, oh, that's right, nowhere. We have to wait for the DVDs. Luckily, this is a Fox-made show, so if they dropped it with the deal with Netflix and with Fox, I can kind of see another channel showing it. But at the same time, part of me is like, come on.
Or it'll show up on FX.
Hopefully, that's what I meant by Fox. Because FX is Fox without DL.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, that's why I think, or it would show up on there if Channel 5 drops it.
Yeah, as I said, it'll show up on either Netflix or Fox based on who makes it and their deal with Netflix. So I was like, one of those two will pick it up, which is good, but still Channel 5. Ooh. Oh, it's still hilarious. Days of Future Past. In between every advert break, boom, and at the end of every advert break, boom, and at the beginning and end of every episode, the Days of Future Past, Days of Future Past. I'm like, really? I know it's made by Fox, but sponsoring Batman by X-Men is a little piss-takey.
Yes, it is.
But I don't know. What was Jim's favorite stuff in the show?
I just liked how they played the story out and how, despite being set in a time period that most people are familiar with in the Batman mythos, you didn't really know exactly what was going to happen. And it was interesting seeing, exactly how Gordon's going to react to what Gotham is and how he's going to deal with this, and seeing all the different characters and how they, how close are they to the ones that we know. Are they just looking to develop? What's the difference? Things like that. And just following the plot to see, is it different of who murdered the Waynes in this one? Not Joe Chill. Is it this person? Who is it? It's just really interesting to follow the drama and the storylines and to really, take in the characters, which is really the purpose of the pilot, is to establish all the characters. So, this is what's going on in this world. And then once the characters are established, they can start playing around with them in future episodes and kind of really explore, each one individually in a little more depth.
Yep. And as I put it to Marcus, I will say I loved Penguin in the, and I believe TV Tropes would call it this. They had this trope a while back. It might have been renamed, but I believe Penguin was very much the Starscream.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
The Starscream.
Get out.
It's a type of ice cream.
No, shut up. I mean on TV Tropes, like...
Starscream, like on Transformers, where basically it's like the cowardly underling of the main boss that's constantly trying to overthrow him.
Okay.
Like he's reaching out on his own, he's trying to overthrow Fish, but I don't think he's going to. Although at the same time, she is called Fish. Penguins eat fish. That's kind of an obvious where that's going to go. But I am looking forward to one thing.
What's that?
Like Penguin mentioned, there's a war coming between all the gangs. I need to see this.
Oh, yeah.
He had that weird hair, like that, what was it? What was that movie that Johnny Depp was in where he played some kind of vampire family or something?
Wait, if there's going to be a gang war...
Yeah, he had the same kind of hair, which I thought was weird, but I guess it works. I don't know what kind of hair Penguin's supposed to have, so it just reminded me of his face.
Fair enough.
Hey, Mole, if there's going to be a Gotham City-wide gang war, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
It depends, but where are we going to get whipped cream in a car battery this hour?
The Batcave?
It's non-existent.
No, I'm thinking when the Triads move in, when the Chinatown gangs, the Triads move in, are we going to get Lady Shiva?
We could, though.
That'd be fucking awesome.
We could, though, or they might keep that gang for another season. Like, that gang will come afterwards to, try and move in on when these gangs have made...
To pick up the pieces.
Where these gangs have fallen apart and stuff. I can kind of see, maybe, like Arrow did, I can kind of see Ra's al Ghul appearing.
Yeah.
That could be cool.
Because, in the comics, isn't Lady Shiva, the head of the Gotham City Triads?
I believe she is.
Yeah.
Well, she's at least their number one in charge.
Because I could see them bringing her in and then working in some of Batman's actual backstory and maybe have her come in when Batman's a little bit older and have him go to her for training and stuff like he did in the comics.
Yeah, but it's like I like where they've gone with this, and I will admit what I want to see is more characters like Fish, who were original characters
Yes.
that literally I don't know what will happen with Fish in this continuity. Even though I said it was a little obvious because a penguin eats fish, but I think that's what they want you to think. It's very possible within this continuity that by the time he's Batman, she could still be alive and she could become another mob boss in the city at the same time or something. Anything.
Yeah.
You don't know. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, where they create original characters to flesh out the city. I like that.
Yeah, it's like I could totally see Gotham having the same impact as Smallville and other comic related shows.
That'd be really cool.
What I mean by that is, while I didn't like Smallville that much after, like I mentioned, like season 4, but the character of Chloe Sullivan was created for Smallville. She's officially in the comics now. Same thing with Agent Coulson with the Marvel stuff and Harley Quinn and other stuff. So I could totally see them adding Fish later on to the comics.
Yeah. Also, another fear that I had, based on what I'd heard about the pilot and about the series in general, that I'm okay with now, and I actually look forward to seeing where it's going, is the whole Montoya thing.
Here we go.
What?
What's wrong?
Marcus is going to go off about Montoya's age.
No, I just said it was one of the fears I had, but I'm okay with it.
All right.
I think it works, and I actually like the fact that even though I had read about it, it didn't really dawn on me until I saw the episode, so I kind of wasn't expecting it, that they put her with Alan. I was like, holy shit, that's actually kind of brilliant.
Yeah, it's like...
and they made them like fucking feds. I could totally see, as the series progresses, Montoya and Alan realizing that Gordon is a good guy and actually like leaving the feds to join Gotham PD to help Gordon.
Yep. And the thing with the ages, some of these ages are different to what they were in the comics, but like I said, I'm okay with that because every comic book adaptation so far has done that. It's like, I'm sorry, Robert Downey Jr., awesome fucking Iron Man. Iron Man in the early comics seemed a lot younger than like in his 40s. So yeah, and it's like Christian Bale seemed too young to be year one Batman, and just various stuff like that. The only one I would say was possibly right with the age for starting off might be Superman in Man of Steel, but then you've also got the ages of other characters within that being changed. It's like, so they have to do that just to make it their own and to find the actors that are best for those roles. Like,
right.
Montoya and like Bullock and all the other ones, every single actor on this was pitch perfect in my opinion.
Yes.
So I believe they cast the actors for the characters and didn't give a shit about trying to make them the exact comic age.
Yes.
Which I'm okay with.
Yes, which I agree with. That was probably my biggest fear, was the fact that, aside from the whole being Bruce-centric thing, which thank God they're not, was the fact that while they were trying, they wanted to make this originally, they wanted to make it their own, that they were going to try to make the characters still the characters, and the characters from the comics and stuff. And if they did that, then I'd probably be more upset. Well, they did, but they did it in a way that you're not really expecting them, like, I'm sorry, the Montoya in this series, I'm not expecting her to be Renee Montoya from the comics, not at all, because they've changed her enough. She's still Montoya, but she's not that Montoya. She's the Montoya that fits in this world. And the fact that they crafted the world so skillfully, and they took the characters and made them fit the world, instead of trying to make them the characters from the comics, I think is a real compliment. Like, it's a real compliment I can pay to the writers and the director of the series and the creator of the series, and that's why I think like Montoya and stuff works. Because I'm like, okay, fair enough, she's not Renee Montoya from the comics, but she's Renee Montoya from this world, and she fits within this world. And that was my biggest fear, that the characters, to me, I wasn't going to feel that they fit within the world, because I'd be feeling too much that they were from the comics, which I don't get. And I'm glad that I feel more like, okay, the characters belong in this world. That was my biggest
Yeah.
fear, that I was going to feel that they belong in the world.
See, I feel they belong in this world, but I feel the reason they belong in this world is because they're very close to the early versions of the characters when you see them in stuff like I mentioned, like Year 1, Year 0, and stuff, and like the very first like New 52 book, and all the other different origin stories that they've done for Batman over the years, where they've gone back to his early years. That's what this is, and I'm like, that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You rarely get them this close to the point where it's not like, I don't know, like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, where you're like, okay, he's a pretty okay-ish Peter, even though he's depressed. He's a fucking terrible Spider-Man because he's depressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, where's my quips? Even when he finally did one in Spider-Man 2 of keep the change and threw it with a bag at Doc Ock, it sounded more like, keep the change. And it's like, really? You're just phoning this in at this point? You can't just phone in quips. That's not how they work.
Yeah.
But like I said, I like that with this, where all of them felt brilliantly close to the comics. Like, even the Marvel Cinematic Universe with their movies don't feel exactly like the comics, because they combine stuff from Ultimate and 616 and create something new, where it's like, okay, cool. But it's recognizable, but different. This one, they felt like so much like the characters to me that I'm like, this is almost the perfect comic show.
Yeah, it felt like Gotham, and I think that's probably what they focused on, was getting the feel of the city right, to make it feel like Gotham City right out of the comics, and I think they achieved that. And I just hope they continue to keep the quality level of the show in terms of its feel and stuff, and the characters. Yep. I hope they keep that level up, because if that level dips even, very small, it's going to be noticeable.
To be fair, if it dips very small, all shows have it where the quality dips, but it can go straight back up and still be awesome. Like, as people on here know, I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Season 4, when she went to college with Riley, that's a drop completely ass down between 5 and 3, and that's noticeably worse.
By the way, Mole, am I the only one who, if they decide to go with the whole, this is going to evolve into Batman the TV series, if I want them to never find the killer of Thomas and Martha Wayne until the final episode of the series, and have Batman be the one who finds him?
Don't make him Joker.
No, please don't make a Joker. But I'm just saying, because I could totally see this with the whole gang war that's coming. I could see Gordon getting just completely fucking overwhelmed when the gang war hits, and as he's taking out these people left and right, he's trying to find the killer, and as you see that, he's getting all these other villains, all these other criminals and whatnot. But because I could see also during that time is when he'll get promoted to commissioner, and as commissioner, he can't just be focused on this one case, and he knows it.
Yep.
And so because of that, as it continues, Bruce realizes it, that Gordon needs help, that Gordon wants to find the killer, but he can't, and that's why he becomes the Batman, because he realizes Gordon in the city needs help.
Yeah, which could
and
be
then
cool.
He finds the killer. I think that'd be awesome.
Like I said, it could be cool. Although I will say that's something I am a little concerned about, but not too much. I realize if this show goes on too long, like if it goes till the point where he's Batman, like I think it will, I'm pretty much sure if they do a Batman season, there's gonna be actor replacements. There has to be, just because Mr. Freeze is in series 1, Penguin is, Riddler is, and stuff like that. To the point where I honestly believe it's going to turn your camera off, Fallen Angel. But yeah, and hello, Fallen Angel. But yeah, I was going to say, well, I honestly believe they're going to have to replace them, because you're not going to get every one of these back.
Yeah, or what I would do, since this is supposed to be an alternate reality, given the ages of the characters as they are now, you could always write him out of the series at that point and bring in other villains. So it's like Batman has his own rogues gallery independent of what I would call the GCPD rogues gallery. I think that would work.
Yeah, it would do, but I know they're going to bring in more named Batman ones, which makes sense. But it's like I said, for example, they've mentioned they have big plans for Ivy. Cool. I'm glad she's actually in this universe. Fuck you, Nolan. But Mr. Freeze is in this as well. Again, fuck you, Nolan. But yeah, no, Mr. Freeze is in this as well. They have to use him when he's Batman. They have to. And if they have to swap the actor because the other actor's busy or got a film or something because it's years out, I'm okay with it as long as he seems like he's similar or he fits this world. I'm okay with it. It worked for Hulk.
See, if all the actors and actresses do the characters right and they get into the characters, I'm hoping they don't swap out characters, like especially like for a character like Mr. Freeze. So I could see if dude's going to be older by that point, the actor's going to be older by that point, but it works because you can kind of Arnold him and put him in like a fucking exosuit. There you go, old man problem solved.
Your
Ivy.
The problem for fixing Mr. Freeze is to make him like Arnold. Do
Well,
you hear the words?
Well, no, Mr. Freeze. So there you go, problem solved. And Ivy.
Go with the comic, not Arnold.
And then Ivy and Selena are going to be basically they're the same age as Bruce, so they'll be there more than likely. I just don't really see them replacing actors and actresses unless they really have to. And if the actors and actresses are really getting into this, if they're really into the characters, which it seems like they are, because it seems like all the actors and actresses involved in this, at least all the main characters, are taking great care with the characters, and they're trying their utmost to portray the characters properly. I don't see them really leaving.
Oh, I'm not saying like they're going to replace Bruce or Ivy or anyone like that. They could do, but I don't know. But my guess was like I mentioned Mr. Freeze because apparently he appears in one episode in season 1. In like fucking like 9 years' time when they come to do the season, he's not a main character. They could easily put him in a suit or something.
Although I figure by that point in time, they probably will have Mr. Freeze episodes, like showing him as like Dr. Victor Freeze.
Yeah.
And, like Gordon will probably end up having to investigate the company he works for this or that or the other.
I believe the episode he appears in, I believe he appears as Dr. Victor Freeze.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah,
but like you could, because then they could show like the degradation of his wife and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think would work.
But I think we're now going into territory of what isn't in the pilot, not necessarily what was. So, did Jim want to wrap this up?
Before we do that, why don't we give Fallen Angel a chance to register his opinions?
Because, I'm awesome and shit.
Party crasher.
Go ahead. So
you are Aussie and shit.
Yeah. So we just talking about the pilot and that's it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright then. If it's just the pilot, I think it was a little too overcrowded with all the villains and just all the in-jokes. My god, there was thousands and thousands of them. But character-wise and acting and whatnot else, I think everyone is pulling off their characters really well, and I'm really into it. I've watched all 4 episodes so far, and it's just getting better and better. So, there's my opinion.
Nice. How would you compare it to the other superhero shows that are out there right now?
It's a lot. It is a lot grittier, and it is Gotham. I definitely get that Gotham-esque feel when watching it, as compared to Arrow, where you've got the Arrow feel, or Flash, where you get that Flash feel. Actually, Flash is out today. I should watch that. And what was the other one? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. They've each got their own spot.
Atmosphere.
And, they don't really overlap with one another. They are definitely all stand-up shows.
I would argue the Arrow and Flash constantly overlap.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
I know what you meant, but yeah, it was a case that I just found how would you rate it compared to them? Like, do you think it's as good as them? Do you think it's better? Like, I personally felt it was the best one out there right now.
Specifically with the pilot episode, comparing that pilot episode to the premieres for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Arrow and Flash, I think it probably sits somewhere in the middle, because I think the best season premiere was The Flash this time round. It was really, even though I saw it a couple of months ago, it was really well done, and it was very Flash, and it was very comic booky. So I really liked it.
Fair enough.
But it is growing with the new episodes, and it is gaining pace.
Yeah, like I said, I thought the pilot was perfect to the point I was worried about it, but I'm not anymore. And right now, if I had to choose only one comic book show to follow, I'm going to drop the others and just stick with this one.
Yeah, Gotham is definitely going to be a really good show.
Yep. I'll probably start following Gotham now.
Haven't you watched it?
Nope. I've only seen this one episode.
Only this one.
Yeah,
Well, up on
Hey,
Walking Dead.
I think everyone here besides you, Fallen Angel, has only seen the first one. I've only seen the first one because it's the only one that aired in my country, and they've only seen the first one because that was the bare minimum they needed to see to review it.
Well, I just heard about it today, so that's my excuse.
Did you watch the episode?
I did watch the episode, but like Mo was like, "Hey, you want to be in a review? Watch it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I thought you would have
So-
heard about it beforehand, though, to be fair.
I heard of its existence, but I didn't know it was like there for me to watch it like instantly. Like I don't have cable or anything.
Fair enough, but did you want to take us out, Jim? Oh, great stashy one. And with final thoughts and crap. With everyone,
Alright,
I'm assuming everyone wants to give final thoughts.
Yeah, we can go on and give final thoughts. In my opinion, I feel like this show has a lot of really great potential. They've got great actors in the roles. They're really making this their own version of the Batman universe that everybody can kind of play around in and figure out what they're going to be without being constrained by the known continuity all too much. And I think that's a very good thing. It did feel like they put a lot of Batman villains in there, but I feel like that was just to say, hey, they're all here to get people in for the pilot, and then they'll tone it back, and you might see one or two in a given episode. So I think that's really going to help out. And also seeing the development of young Bruce alongside is also a cool thing to look at, seeing how that might parallel the development of Gordon as he's trying to clean up Gotham and the police force. So I feel like this show's got a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I know there's some more episodes up online, and I do want to watch those at some point when I have time.
Yep.
Who else
It's like
has a final thought?
It's like I'm looking forward to the episode which is inevitable at one point during this show. At one point during this show, Gordon and his wife need to have a children. I want to see that. Because when it happens, you know, based on this continuity and how the people are targeting people that Gordon loves just in the pilot, you know they're going to target his baby. So they're going to target like James Jr. and Barbara and stuff. So I want to see what happens. But
Batgirl is what happens.
yeah, that happens later, but I want to see what happens with the baby and
Yeah.
how it's born and stuff. I think that's actually a human story that could be really good. But my thought is there was some parts were a little over the top, but they kind of needed to be with the source material. Because you couldn't. I don't like it when they try and make everything realistic. It worked with the Nolan universe, but at the same time with the Nolan universe, you were then held down to the point where you would never get Ivy or Mr. Freeze or something because they were too over the top. And I'm like, nah, this one found a nice balance where it's like it's realistic, but it's just comic booky enough that anything can happen. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. So I recommend everyone watches it. If I had to put a number on it, which I'm trying not to do at the moment, I'm just going with watch or avoid and stuff. I'll say watch, but if I had to give a number, I'd say 5 out of 5.
Yep, I can agree with that. I like the fact that it's actually a point in time that's never, I don't think actually ever been really shown in any medium. The time between, Bruce's parents' death and then the time he becomes the Batman. And I think because they chose to set it within that time, it gives them a lot of flexibility in what they want to do. Because there is no continuity really that they have to contend with. The only real continuity is Jim Gordon becomes commissioner, Bruce becomes Batman. That's pretty much it. Between that, aside from that, you could do whatever the fuck you want. And it shows in the pilot, they're doing whatever the fuck they want. And it's brilliant.
Yep. It even shows when the people who write the show have said they would even be open to killing Gordon.
Yep. But pretty much the only person they can't kill is Bruce, because then you wouldn't have a series.
Unless they kill him and bring in a new kid called Azrael.
Oh God, please no. Just no, don't do that.
Or Terry McGinnis. Time travels.
Ha! Now we're going really over the top.
No, if you want it to go really over the top, it's going to end with an infinite crisis and you'll be replaced with Christian Bale.
Oh God, no. As much as I liked Bale, no. But yeah, I really like the show, and I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I do, and I do look forward to seeing where it goes. I'm going to go back and watch the other episodes eventually. Because episode 4 is titled Arkham, so I'm like, oh
Yeah.
God.
Which sounds cool. Can I just say my favorite moment in the whole pilot has to go to Penguin.
Oh.
Yes.
Not just for being the Starscream, but I mean when he washes up on the surface and he just casually gets a knife, boom, kills the guy and gets his food and just eats it like an animal. I'm like, that's brilliant. You're fucking Penguin. That was just such an awesomely casually. He killed him casually to get the food, and in cold blood and shit. But it works for who he is, and I'm like, I love that. That was a great moment.
See, I'm of the opposite opinion because I will say probably the biggest thing that I didn't like about Batman Returns was the Penguin. Even though I love Danny DeVito, I love how he played him, I just thought he was too brutal. He was too animalistic, and I didn't like that. Because he did that in Batman Returns, the whole just, granted it was a raw fish, but still, he just scarfed the fish down and mauled it and mangled it like an animal.
Oh.
And I saw that they did that in this one, I was like, I don't like that.
No, I don't want him to grab a fish and just eat a fish. But
No.
he did it with a sandwich and stuff because he doesn't have manners and with the shape of himself. That's why he's nicknamed Penguin. If you took any element of that away, his nickname doesn't really work as well. So I just love the thing of he's basically an animal, and and he looks sort of like a penguin. It works. I love that. I wonder if the actor's going to gain weight to make him fatter.
Yeah, he should, or at least wear a fat suit. But I don't know, because I always viewed Penguin as, they called him Penguin because of how he looked, not necessarily how he acted, because I always viewed him as refined and high society.
That was
but
the
in the
old
comic.
but that was the old top hat Penguin, not mob boss Penguin, which is a bit more animalistic and a bit more ruthless and
Fair enough.
more realistic. Which I actually prefer that Penguin to Fat Controller from Thomas the Tank and Jim with an umbrella.
Didn't he also get stabbed in the eye or something, and that's why he has a thing?
No, it's
He has a freaky monocle that's ingrained in his friggin' head or something.
No, that's how you wear a monocle.
No, but it's ingrained in his head, or maybe that was in fucking
No, what she's talking about is in the Arkham Asylum game verse. That version of Penguin doesn't have a monocle. He was actually in a fight years ago when he was younger, and somebody slammed a bottle into his face, and the bottle is actually stuck over his eye because if they removed it, it would kill him.
Yeah, but what's Pew Pew's final thoughts?
Oh, it looks friggin' awesome. I wish I had more time to watch it, because I have 3 shows I'm trying to catch up on right now. Now, this is the 3rd one, so it's I just need to stop the universe so I can watch more shows.
You could get lucky.
How?
We may do a review of this later on when either the DVD is out or the whole season's out, if Jim's okay with that. But I was going to say, if you wanted to catch up on it, they've signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix. By the time you've caught up on your other shit, all of them will be up in one go on Netflix and just binge watch it. I don't know why that's funny.
No, I was binge watching because there was a College Humor thing about binge watching things on Netflix. So I was thinking of that.
Yeah, but that's how people watch Netflix.
I know, but it's just a College Humor thing about it, where it's did you even remember anything from the 2nd season? He's like, I don't know, and whatever the show was, he goes, that's probably for the best. Did you at least remember the 3rd season? Kind of. Okay, then we're good. It was just this whole thing about this one guy binge watching things.
Fair enough, but this is the actual show, but you liked the show.
Yes.
Fair enough.
It looks really good, acting's good, all the villains look interesting, 3-dimensional.
Then take us out, host.
All right then. Well, thank you everyone for joining me, Marcus Shadow, Chriz the Mole, Anastasia Lazerbeam, the Fallen Angel, and unfortunately we lost her, but the Queen of Hearts. If you're out there listening, thank you.
She sends her regrets. She inadvertently left the call, and
Yeah.
for whatever reason, her voice thing, her mic wasn't working, so she was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna go to bed."
that wasn't the reason. She mentioned to me that she left. However, she didn't want to come back and interrupt it because she feels that would be rude, so she didn't call back.
Well, yeah,
And then she was talking to me about that.
yeah, but she also said to me that she tried to say something about the mugging, but apparently no one heard her. To which I replied, yes, because she didn't say anything. So I have had a feeling either she was muted or her mic wasn't working properly.
Fair enough.
Google Hangouts.
Fair enough. But would you be open to reviewing this whole season when it's out, Jim?
Yeah, no problem.
I'll say on DVD because you can probably just lend them from the library.
Yeah, that'll work. We can do that.
I'll also be buying this when it comes out.
I'm sure.
It's fucking awesome.
It is. All right, then. Well, thank you for joining me. And we'll see you next time for another review on the X-Pound. And I'll see you next time here in the Lair of the Phoenix. Good night, everybody.
I mean...